Hello survivors, welcome to a brand new Zero to Hero episode. This is take 2 of this episode, so unfortunately there's a couple of things that are unlocked. We unlocked the Pyromancer because the build is going to be focused around her, which is perfectly fine, and we managed to finish the middle skill tree as you can see. So we actually have more rune power now, 7 out of 7, so we can fit synergetic and focus fire in terms of runes. With regards to unlocks, we kind of did a little bit of grinding. In the Scorching Valley, I tried to unlock a lot of Palladium, but I'll end up getting every single other material instead of it. So today we're going to farm Palladium to try and unlock the Houndmaster, the weapon, because I want to build for that. But I'm going to show you today how you do your own build and the curses I'm using for it to kind of farm both the major Soulstones as well as to farm materials and also just to level up a character. So the first time I'm playing on the Pyromancer, we look at the character and we're like, okay, well, we don't have any weapon skills and we're missing quite a few skills. What can we look at? Now, I am experienced, so I know what's strong and what's not. So a good example here is I know that Shadow Spark is a decently strong skill. You can see that it deals damage per stack of doom on the enemy, and that's what we're going to be playing around. So usually you'll pick a skill and you look at them and you'll be like, okay, well, Deathclaw's kind of cool. What can we do to help it? And you then look at different skills around it. So today we're looking at Shadow Spark. How can I make this stronger? Pyromancer has access to Arcane, Chaos, Fire, Electric, and Shadow. Now, Electric gives you Dazed, or most of the Electric skills. It give you Electrified, they give you Dazed, and things like that. We have access to Lightning Surge, which is a buff that increases our movement speed, as well as our applies all skills applied Dazed, which increases the critical strike chance of that enemies get, so it will make them more vulnerable to critical strikes, if that makes sense. We've then got Arcane skills, so we get Brittle, and we get Fragility, so we're going to run Arcane Beam and we're going to run Magic Missile. And then we are also running the Shadow Bolt, which is going to give us Aptitude, and we run Shadow Spark so that we've got that Doom stacking damage as well. So we've got something that gives us Doom, so we apply Doom with Shadow Bolt, which means that we will end up getting the all attacks have a chance to apply Doom on hit. And then we've got more skills that are going to apply it. So it's something like Arcane Beam, which runs very well with multicast, is going to be applying a whack ton stacks of Doom. Something else you could add on there would be Combustion and Flamethrower. They are fantastic skills to increase the amount of negative effects that you get onto enemies. So the plan today is either to run Bloodlust and a minion for survivability, or we're running the Lightning Surge and Lightning Bolt or Lightning Thunderstrike, sorry, not Lightning Bolt, for the stun and electrified. So let's just get straight into it and we'll decide which one we're going for. We're going to be doing an Overlord cycle, and we'll do about 20 minutes of in-game time running and see what it is that I go for in the build and how we get there. But majority of the time it's going to be, okay, stack a lot of Doom. We don't need the Doom to do a lot of damage, but I mean, if we get it to do a lot of damage, that's fine. But the main focus is to stack as many Doom stacks as possible. That is the focus of today. Another thing is, even though we've got fire in the build, we'll probably land up going Doom. I mean, you can go Doom to burn, but we don't need that. Another thing you can do is go burn to ice or slow, and then slow to disarray. But again, for now, that's not really necessary for the amount of time we're going to be spending in the Overlord cycle and for the difficulty that we're in. The most important thing is that we get Palladium to spawn, which will be random. I'll put down how the actual mineral spawning chance works in the game down in the description. It's just so you can see it, but essentially it's like it rolls with a certain percentage to roll legendary material if you've got the right curses up. So in our case we don't, so it rolls a certain chance to roll rare. If it doesn't roll rare, it will then roll uncommon. If it doesn't roll uncommon, it then rolls common. But I'll put it down in the the description for you guys to take a look at that and understand it. So there's Shadow Spark. We're going to go with Relentless. Damage on Shadow Spark's big. Looks like we've unlocked Lightning Surge, so we'll just go with that one for now. Multicast, this legendary one doesn't help us because we're not going to be running magical, so we're going to skip this. Unfortunately, all of our skills look like they could be physical, so that doesn't help us. And then grab some critical strike chance there as well. And you can see what's really nice about this is once you start getting more character skill tree upgrades for all of your characters and more cast frequency in their skill trees, Lightning Surge actually becomes a buff that you don't need to upgrade the cast frequency for. It actually becomes a permanent buff for your character, which is really, really cool. So there's Thunderstrike. We're going to grab a bit of movement speed as well. And don't let multiple bosses kind of scare you. It's really not that difficult. You just got to stay focused. Look for the red circles and you should be fine. The only thing is our only damaging skill right now on the Pyromancer is the Shadow Spark, which we've said previously in other videos that I personally don't like because of its targeting. It shoots in a random direction. It even mentions it towards a random enemy, which means that there's a chance we aren't going to, you know, see it. But there's Arcane Beam, thank goodness. We get a damage increase over here. Oh, it looks like Magical would have actually helped us. We'll take it because it's going to increase their damage, but yeah, like we mentioned, it might have been, I don't know. I guess I made a little bit of a mistake over there. Grab a bit of a Unbreakable, that's fine. And there we go. So now Arcane Beam is auto-targeting. It's going to just target the closest enemy to us. If I don't want it to turn around like that and I'm using I'm using automatic aim by pressing down on the mouse 3 button or your middle mouse click. It says it over here. You can temporarily disable it by holding down the right mouse button. I don't know what it is on controller. Another way to kind of find that is in the settings itself. You can disable it through there if controller doesn't have a shortcut like keyboard does, or you can just set one up. But yeah, I use that quite often. It's very, very helpful. It does a lot for us and we get a damage increase here. That's actually really good. So now what damage increases do for buffs is it's the same as a potency upgrade, so it's going to increase the movement speed. This one only increases movement speed. It doesn't increase the percentage days chance, so you'll see there it's still 4%, but we gain an increase in movement speed bonus. And now we do need a Doom skill. I'm just going to run this one just so we can start getting the Doom passives, but we are going to be looking for Shadow Bolt because the aptitude will be really nice. Aptitude is increased critical damage. And we sit in the corner like we usually do. Void is actually really nice because it pulls enemies into it. However, as you proceed through the Overlord cycles, enemies gain a pull resistance. So you won't be able to pull them anymore with the skill. So for early game, if you want to speed run and things like that, using skills that pull enemies are actually quite fun and quite useful, but they don't always work later on in the rounds. So there's our first Doom. We actually also get Arcane Knowledge over here, which we're going to grab. And we can grab more crit, more magnetic, and we're going to grab another Unbreakable. Now, while we've got Unbreakable here on the screen, let me explain how it works. So we've got armor, which is a percentage damage taken. And then we've got damage reduction, which is flat damage taken. So right now, every hit that we take is dealing 5 less damage. It's going to go to 7 less damage now. And it actually helps us a whack ton if you get a lot of those. A lot of people don't find them that good, but I mean, if you're taking, I think it works out as, I need to double check this with the developer because I've never actually thought about this to ask them this, but I'm unsure if it calculates the reduced flat, the percentage armor first, and then the flat, or if it does flat first and then reduced armor. If it does flat first and then reduced armor, it's actually not worth going for the flat armor. But if it does reduced first and then you take off the flat armor, it's actually very, very strong, because if you get like 90% reduced damage and then you've still got like 10 damage reduction on top of that flat damage reduction, you're actually going to be taking far less damage than you originally thought. So it can be quite strong. It just really depends. Over here, because of the Arcane Beam, we are going to take an expansive. It is going to be very, very strong. We no longer need cast frequency for Lightning Surge as well, so we can drop that the next time we see it. And we're going to grab ourselves some more critical strike chance over here, cast frequency over there. So now the most important thing is to look for damage for Shadow Spark and Doom stacks. So Shadow Spark and Fateful Strikes. Done and dusted. We can skip active skills. We can banish Leviathan this time. And multicasting, that's beautiful. There's Fateful Strikes. We don't really need this anymore, so we're banishing it. And we're going to grab ourselves some armor so we can get up into the positive armor reduction. So now it's gone green, and we reduce damage now instead of taking more damage. So you always got to make sure at least your armor being in green, not in the red. Otherwise you're going to be taking more damage, where in this case we're now reducing the damage taken. And when there's no boss spawned, you can just actively play. When a boss spawns, I will manually aim towards them so that I know the arcane beam and that is hitting them. Cast frequency on the magic missile there. And we can actually sit in this blue circle for a bit because that's going to give us quite a lot of XP as well. One thing we are going to have to work on is our health. We have literally 90% health, which is not a lot. And we don't have any block and we don't have a lot of armor either. So we want to work on HP. But again, we're here just to farm Palladium, try and get as much as possible. That XP will come to us as soon as we fight the bosses, so I'm not really worried about running around picking it up. We should get some decent levels from it. Maybe we can find a magnetic before then. Nice critical strike chance, beautiful. I'll take that extra 12%. So one thing as well is we picked up the focused fire. Now this is a multiplicative damage increase and a multiplicative area loss. So you'll notice our area is only on 15%. If I go and pick up another area increase, we'll look at it when we find it. But let's say I pick up at 10%, that's actually only going to give us about 8% or 7% of the actual armor because of the reduced multiplicative scaling that we get because of the rune. Oh man, okay, I thought I dodged out of it and I dodged into it a second time. So we actually lost a life there, which is pretty bad. That's why having armor and damage reduction is very helpful. So let's just heal to full. Still no Palladium being picked up. We don't have to worry about the resources on the sides. I mean, you don't have to go and attack this. It will explode at the end of the round, and it doesn't matter if it's up or not. The new resources will always spawn regardless. So here we're supposed to get 20% area of effect, so we should go up to 35%. But again, because we got the rune, it only went up to 32%. So it's not even that much of a loss if you think about it. Like you're like, oh, okay, well, you know, that's terrible. We've got negative 15% to our damage, and then you take the rune and you actually see that 15% on, I mean, if you're looking at 1,000 area, then it's only 150. So it's really not that much area loss for a huge 30% gain. Okay. Got Merciless, another increase from Arcane, so everything's going to get 48% increased damage, which is massive for our Shadow Spark. The more damage it gets, the better. Potency, it only increases movement speed, but again, movement speed is king in the early game, so we are going to use that. Again, it is a permanent buff right now, so what happens with buffs is they don't multicast, and you can't get them to multicast at all. What's going to happen is essentially as the cooldown reaches as the duration reaches the cooldown or whatever, as soon as the cooldown resets, the actual buff refreshes. So let's say you've got a buff that has a duration of 15 seconds, but you have a cooldown of 2 seconds. All that means is every 2 seconds, the 15-second timer is going to restart. So essentially, it just makes the buff permanent. This can be good for some buffs, but it's actually really bad for others. So a buff like Glacial Affinity, which is from the Death Knight, is actually very bad to have a very low cooldown because it requires you to have ice stacks on or slow stacks on enemies. So by having too much cooldown on some buffs, it can actually hurt your character as opposed to helping them. That's probably the only buff where it happens. All the others increase your stats or something like that based on other things that doesn't actually make that much more difference to. Scent of Blood is a different one as well, the more finesse you have. Scent of Blood's a weird one because the lower the cooldown of the buff, and well as the higher the potency, you're actually going to have more finesse because your skill cooldown actually goes lower, so therefore you're activating the finesse buff more often. So it actually works the other way. You want more on that one than you do want less. Let's go with more multicast and some more multicast. It's going to be fantastic to have multicast on the arcane beams. We just need way more area of effect. Unfortunately, we're not getting as much as we'd like. There's a way to get arcane. So the way that arcane beams area, the beam skills area of effect works is, think of a lollipop. The end of the skills range is like a lollipop, where the head of a lollipop, the thing that you suck on, is the part of the arcane beam's area of effect. Now think of a difference between like a I don't know, a normal sucker and like a mega sucker. You know, the lollipop size is massive for a mega sucker, whereas a normal lollipop's got like something that can fit in your mouth, where the other one is like the size of your head. So that's how area of effect works on the skill. The more area you have, the larger that part grows, and you can actually get it so that even though you're facing here, this direction, you can actually make it hit enemies behind you if you get enough area of effect. Also, increasing the damage of the skill increases the amount of brittle damage that you deal. So we're on 11. If we go and increase that, it went up to 13. So it is actually worth increasing the damage of Arcane Beam as well, in case you ever wondered about that. So like, yeah, this damage increase is really good. We're going to grab some block. I did see maximum health is in a negative, so we actually need to work on getting some health. Because 90 is a really low number. I don't believe I've seen any health options. We're going to banish... yeah, let's banish damage for these. Multicast is very good. There's so much like to this game to understand and to know, and half the time I just like know it in the back of my head, so I forget to mention whether or not it does certain things.
Fire does not fear the dark.
Alright, I forgot to mention this, but we kind of cheating in a way. So what happens is we actually got Palladium, thank goodness. But what happens is when you go over into Overlord Cycle, the map essentially changes. So you can see, we'll probably see it the next round. This round it looks like we still got the same materials. Actually it's not, because we can see we got copper from the Scorching Valley, but you're like, hey, Broken, you never picked Scorching Valley, you picked the Caves of Del Zog. How are you getting that resource? So essentially what happens is when you go into Overlord Cycles, it randomizes the map that you're on. So that is just amazing, because then what happens, finally, damage for Doom. What happens is you get stuff that allows you to farm resources on an easier danger level. So now we did the Caves of Del Zog, we're on danger level 2. If we had to do Scorching Valley, we wouldn't have a danger level, so it allows us to push further levels easier, because that danger level, like we mentioned the other day, is a multiplicative scaling for enemies as well as the bosses, and it makes them harder to defeat. So by playing on the Scorching Valley, going into Overlord Cycle modes, we're able to farm other materials at the same level. So if we had, because we've only got up to rare materials, we're also now getting platinum, which we otherwise would have to farm Scorching Valley for. But in this case, we're farming Caves of Del Zog, and we're getting material from the Scorching Valley, because the map randomizes what map you're on. So maybe we'll get some resources from the Dungeons of Despair, which means we don't have to do a danger level 14 map. We just have to do a danger level 1 map, and we're in a good spot. Over here I want the Fateful Strike as well. We can go and increase that. Cast frequency. Get ourselves to at least 100% critical strike chance. And then we should be Gucci. Hopefully we can get ourselves a crit deals Doom as well, because that will substantially increase the amount of Doom that we apply, as well as the Doom damage on Shadow Spark. Once you're in the map, and the resource is set, then you'll only get resources for that map though. So don't think midway you're going to start getting resources for like the Whispering Forest or whatever the case is, Whispering Grove. Even though it started, like we've started dropping from Scorching Valley, the whole entire cycle is going to be Scorching Valley. Okay, more crit. Sadly, unfortunately, some skills, even though they're very strong, like Shadow Spark, because of the way that the skill works, and in this case because it scales or hits randomly with enemies, I don't personally like using them, but it's the only scaling skill we've got so far on the Pyromancer, so we are going to be using it for that reason. We're not going to go burn to do Doom to Burn, we don't need it, we can just grab that. And then we've got about 2 more rounds, and we'll be able to go there from there. So this is also a cool little idea of how to level up a character. As long as you understand how some of the skills work, and you can run synergies for the skills, you're going to be in a much better spot. Alright, let's see what resources we gain this time. If a new one pops up, then we know it's a new map. If nothing pops up, then it's going to be an older... Oh, it's a new material. So there you go. Now we're farming the Frozen Wastelands, which is a danger 10, danger 8. So we're able to farm materials and rare materials for a character's third weapon that otherwise we would have to farm the Frozen Wastelands for, which we don't have to do now. Alright, damage, cast frequency. I'm just going to go area of effect now for a little bit. And finally we get some life. More doom. Alright, if we get more area of effect, this will actually become a lot faster and a lot easier. Because Arcane Beam is extremely strong and powerful. And by applying the Brittle as well as the Doom, we are going to be having a good time. But the more enemies we can hit with the Brittle, the more damage we're going to be dealing. So area of effect is good. Also, it looks like we've hit, yeah, it's about 4 seconds. Just actually a bit under. I think we're going to go to about 3.6. And then Arcane Beam will be permanent. It looks like it's just going down for like a second. Not even a second, like a split second it goes down. So we still need a bit more cast frequency. And once we get that on the Arcane Beam, of course, there we go. So 3.6, hopefully that's going to make it a little bit better. Okay, that should be the last one. No, 98%. We can go and grab Block. We're not really interested in the damage of those skills, so it's fine. We could actually banish that, but it's not necessary. It's rare. Area of effect for everything but... okay, there we go. Big expansive. Like to see it. It might have been better not to go Focus Fire, but the 30% early game, especially when you don't have a lot of skill tree upgrades, is very powerful. Crit. Crit's finished now, so now we don't need more than 100. It's going to be... It's not that it's a waste, it's just it's very difficult to get there. So if we were later on in the game, it's easier to get crits through other methods, and you able to get aptitude a lot quicker, and so on and so forth. So you can work on things like that. Multicast, beautiful. More multicast. Should run multicast mastery. We haven't unlocked it yet though. I used to straight up run after that skill, but... And I think early game it is actually quite powerful, so it would be quite clever to level or get that rune as quickly as possible. I haven't got it yet, just because my knowledge of the game is quite strong. And also, quite a long time ago, they nerfed it by 0.1% or multiplier. So it used to give you a 0.2 increase to the way that multicast works. It's very complicated. Again, just take a look at the mega sheet and you'll understand it a little bit better. But just know it used to be better than what it was. So we used to rush it right in the beginning and use it on every single build just because it was that powerful. Whereas now we don't really, well, I personally don't usually take it as much as we used to. Alright, more life, look at that. More armor as well, cast frequency. So now it should be up 24/7. We shouldn't have to worry about more cast frequency on the skill.
Let's see what fuels your power and how fast it
The one thing about Soulstone Survivors that I have to give kudos to the developers for is how openly they are to providing you with numbers for the game and details. When you play, I've played other Souls-likes. I've played other roguelike games, and I've played a lot of them. I've been doing this for 3 years or so now, and we've received a lot of games, we've played a lot of games, and I try to speak to the devs, and they are never as forthcoming as they are on Soulstone Survivors. So if you have anything you need to know about the game, and I mean anything, like it doesn't even matter. There's some details in the game where the developers like, I'm not putting it in the game because I don't think a lot of people want it. If more people actually wanted it, he would make a plan to put it in as a quality of life. But like there's some details of this game, numbers, ability details, you know, just things that should you know, that you might not ever know, but if you wanted to know about it, you could just go, hey, dev, what's happening here, or you know, does this work, or does this interact, or is this broken, am I, you know, thinking about this right, or you know, whatever the case is, and they always respond. It might not be immediately, but they always find the time to speak to the community and answer any questions. If another community member can't answer the question, the developer, you'll notice, will respond in the community chat and everything like that to tell us, you know, hey, this is how it actually works. And he has absolutely no problem giving you a 20-page essay on how it works if it helps you understand it. So yeah, it's really, really kudos to them for being so open with the game and the calculations and the coding, because I know other games, I've asked them questions and they just kind of like push you to the side. They're like, no, we can't give you those details. So I'm not going to mention the games because it doesn't really matter, but just note that the developers here are fantastic and open, which I think is amazing, especially since there's so many complicated mechanics in the game. Alright, we actually got even more. Now we got, oh, that was the Frozen Wasteland. So we're picking up some titanium, which is great, some sapphire. Notice that we're actually picking up more of the rare material than the common, which is crazy. Oh, also, we're not going to go, we did. I want to try and not pick up some of the resources, just so you can see after the last boss fight. You'll notice that the resources on the map will disappear, and that they'll automatically be added to our actual character, so we're not going to pick them up. Go for more doom, more damage, looking at a really good damage number over there. Some more critical strike chance. Oh, we got so much crits on everything, actually. Some more potency for a bit of movement speed, and more damage on Shadow Spark. So you'll notice as I'm talking and leveling up, most of the stuff I'm going for is going to be multicast chance now. Oh, critical strike chance is going to be good. Critical damage would be good. I should actually be going for that, but I'm not for some reason. That would be very, very strong. We do have aptitude, but not enough cast frequency on the skill to increase the amount of aptitude we're getting. So that is something to look at. But you'll notice, like, even though we had a level 1 character with no weapons or anything, also, just by the way, take a look over there, we did pick up a whole lot of different resources. So I think we can go, let's go one more round. It's going to go a little bit over 20 minutes, but we're going to go from level 1 to about level 60, hopefully. And that's going to help us with the skill tree if we want to go even further. And this was without any ascension. If you already had your character at level 21 and your max skill tree up, then it allows you to obviously get better starts, because your ascension is massively strong on a lot of characters, on all of them. It doesn't matter who you're playing. If you have an ascension, you have an ascension. Very strong. The one thing though is, now that we've unlocked the major skill tree, what we're going to be working on from now, Dungeon of Despair stuff, is actually getting specific runes. So now we're going to try and unlock specific characters and get those characters up, and we'll talk about that in the next episode. First, what we need to do is to unlock all the characters that we need. So we're going to have to do the Unholy Cathedral, and we're going to do a run on the Unholy Cathedral, show you guys how that one works. And then we've got Titan Hunt to complete, so we'll show you how to do that in the early game, because builds there are quite difficult in the very beginning, even when it first came out. And I was like, I can run anything in Titan Hunt, can't be that hard. I got stomped. So you do have to know what you're doing with build making. Something like this build would work perfectly fine there, especially since you get buffs from the bosses as well. Like if you grab a Shattered on hit from a Broken, and so on and so forth. So if you've been watching the end game content that I've been posting, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, we'll get there very soon. If not tomorrow, it will be next week, definitely. So shouldn't take us too long. It's only been a couple of hours of gameplay, and we should be able to get into the mid to end game very quickly now. Hasn't taken us long. I wish I could find out how many hours I've put into this save file, but that would be quite interesting to know. The thing is as well, you don't need, I mean, if you want 100% the game, it's different. That's not what we're trying to achieve on this, but if we could get there like under a specific time limit, that would be really cool. Alright, damage, doom, more cast frequency we don't need. Let's take some merciless now, some more area of effect, and multicast. Cast frequency is good, but we're getting to the point where like a common cast frequency isn't going to help us. And let me just increase this so we can see what passives I've been taking, because I know a lot of people like to see the passives that I've taken. A lot of them actually have been taken. Alright, we're just over 20 minutes and we're on the final boss, so we'll call that a day. But you can see we can get further. What's going to happen is as soon as you get past Overlord level 6, things get very hard. I mean, look at the scaling that's gone up there. So enemy don't have armor penetration yet, but it gets crazy. That starts to show up a lot more. We finally got the Palladium. We got our Pyromancer to level 50 from level 1. And that gives us 49 levels. Oh, we actually got 50 level, sorry, my bad, 30 skill points, which we'll show you, that we can then use, and we will revisit the Pyromancer in the future. But for now, this is what we did the whole thing for, so we can finally unlock our Toxic Cannon. Thank you, game, for that. We've unlocked more runes. We unlocked the Omnipotent. We unlocked Recklessness, we unlocked some Skill Mastery and Affinity runes, and we unlocked a whole bunch of new skills as well, like Meteor Shower, Firewall, Conflagrate, as well as maybe one or two other ones. Yep, Shadow Orb as well, very strong Shadow skill, would have been much better than the Shadow Bolt, but we didn't have it unlocked at the time. So just a good show of, you know, what works, what doesn't. That worked really well. And if we go to the skill tree now, we can do things like access this, access that, access that, and access that, and that just makes all of our characters that much stronger. If you don't have the Soulstones or the money to provide you with this kind of stuff, don't worry about it. Just do what I've been doing. Go into an Overlord cycle mode and you'll have a lot of Soulstones to spare. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And always remember, keep safe, survivors. Until next time, cheers.